No, I understand that, but today's Saturday. Saturday. I have a date, man. I have a date. Oh, hi. Yeah, guess who was brought in today? Today we're talking about CSS selectors. Being that you now know how to actually come up with an actual rule, which was in the previous video, you'll now be able to come up with different types of rules, but using different types of CSS selectors. So, let's make this short, simple, and sweet. As I mentioned, I have a date. Okay, so let's take a look and see on the screen. I have Visual Studio Code open, and you can actually just follow along because we'll just do a quick little review of what we have and take a look and see how we'll actually be able to select a number of different things within our HTML. So let's see what we got. We have I opened up a standard index file, and I have some style comments here in which these are the different types of selectors that we'll actually be using in CSS. And below, you can pause the video and just take a look and glance over the actual HTML. But, on line 23, we have a div with a class of container. We have an H1 and an H2. We have two paragraph tags on line 26 and 27, and we also have an A tag that's actually in there, and then it looks like all of that is wrapped inside the div with the class container. We also have another paragraph here with a random A tag element, which is right here on the screen, and this is how it looks. It's definitely going to continue to actually look nasty, but that's quite all right. That's quite all right. That's what the CSS is for. But before things can start to look pretty, we have to be able to use different types of CSS selectors in order to actually tackle the task. So the first thing we're going to do is the universal selector. So, and what does that look like? That looks like the wonderful star or asterisk. No. Yeah, we'll go with star. We'll go with star. And then you're going to open up your rule. Again, from the previous video, we talked about how to come up with different types of CSS rules. And then from there, what we're going to do is this sign, this star says, you know what? Let's select everything that's on the page, everything. So let's give everything a border, 1px, and we'll say it's going to be a solid border and it's going to be black. That's perfect. So if you notice on the page now, everything there has an actual border. It looks like it's the actual body has a border, the div has a border. Let's see, what else do we have here? So everything, the H1s, the Ps, the As, and of course the H2s. So everything has an actual border. So that is your universal selector. Normally you would not actually use that, but sometimes you might do that just to kind of, say, you know what, let's make all of the margins 0 and all of the padding 0, only because, oh, that's not margin, only because the different browsers have their own styles that they actually add to the actual page. Okay, so this is how you would zero out everything and say, you know what, no margins, no padding, let's zero out everything. Okay, so that's how you would use that. I'll just actually comment that out because sometimes you might come up with your own reset universal rule in which you would want all of your own things to be zeroed out so you can style everything from scratch. Let's see, then from there, let's go down to the type selector. Now, this is when we actually use the actual element name itself. So let's select the actual H1 here. So we'll go under the notes here of type selector and we'll type in the H1, okay? And then from there, we'll go back to our actual properties and values here. So we're going to use, what do we want here? It's the H1, let's say the color will be red. Okay, so now that the H1, we actually, the type that we're actually using here is the H1, which is taking care of this here on line 31. And it is has the color and the value of red. All right, so not too bad, not too bad. Again, this is just, it's bare bones CSS, trying to make things slightly pretty, but we're not really trying to prettify this right here. We just want to get used to being able to select different types of elements and attributes within our actual HTML. So now let's go to line 22, the comment, we have a class selector. So which class do we want to? Oh, okay, I got the super duper long name on line 34. Let me make this a little bigger here. This is a very long class. You can name this anything you would like, but I just kind of did that. Select me with a class name. All right, so let's actually use that. I'll copy that, and then I'll paste it. And you do have to use the dot in order to make sure that it signifies that it is an actual class. And what are we going to do with that? Let's give it a color of, let's go with brown. We'll go with brown. Okay, and actually, what did we select here? Okay, the actual paragraph text here. So now we can see that the text here is all brown. And you should be able to see that. That should stand out on your monitor or phone. If it doesn't, I guess we can make it yellow. We'll keep it brown. We'll keep it brown. Or how about green? Let's go with green. That way might be able to see that a little better. There we go. So far we have our universal selector, which selects literally everything on the actual page. We have our type selector, which is the H1, in which you can use any type. If we had paragraphs, you can say, you know what, we'll use the P tag or we'll use the A tag. But in this case, we are selecting the H1. And then below that, we have the class selector. And which class did we select? Not the container class, but we actually used the super duper long class name of select me with a class name. And now we need the ID. Do we have an ID? We do. Here is an ID attribute. So on line 38, we have an ID. And how you're going to select that ID is with the number sign or the pound sign. That's how we'll start our rule. And we need the actual name. And the name of that ID is select me ID. And again, you could have come up with any type of name for this ID. Okay, IDs are usually they're pretty unique to the element, to the HTML element. So the IDs should be relatively unique. And for this ID, we are going to let's make the font size. We'll say, I don't know, 20 pixels. Okay, so that is that here. And just so it stands out a little bit more, let's give it a border of 2 pixels solid red. Okay, so now we can see the actual border, which is 2 pixels solid red. All right, and that is by using the selector ID name itself. And now let's go with a descendant. And usually how the descendants work is, this is the 9 times out of 10, you'll be doing something like this. So a descendant is going to be something that is within a parent, something that is within a parent. So all of these are actually descendants of the container class. Let's choose anything that is in a div, and anything that is in a div that is an A tag or A element, and we'll put a border around that. We'll say it's 5 pixels, and we'll say, you know, let's just use dotted and black. Okay, so if you notice to the right, you can see that that is this here. Okay, so what did we do? We selected anything, any A element that is actually inside a div. So here's the div, here's the A, and that would be this on line 45. Okay, so these are the basic ones that you would normally use. There are a number of other ones, actually a couple more, which are the adjacent siblings and the general siblings. But you know, we'll allow you to kind of go take a look online and see what those actually look like. But these are just the bare bones. You need to be able to know the different types of selections or selectors using CSS so you can prettify your HTML. And that's pretty much it for today. So good job today on the selectors. Rewind the video if need be and play it relatively slow. Play around, open up the HTML files, you know, create one and start playing around with the CSS rules from the previous video, and of course play around with coming up with different types of selectors so you can see how to manipulate your HTML. Please subscribe and hit the comments, notifications, or actually make a comment. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and I'll respond back. All right, Stack out. Enjoy. Have a good weekend. I got a date.